Hello students, welcome back to the economics class of plus 2 standard. Today we will start with lesson number 15, fiscal policy. In this chapter you will learn about meaning of public finance, meaning of fiscal policy, role of fiscal policy, instruments of fiscal policy. Under the instruments of fiscal policy you will learn about government expenditure, direct and indirect taxes, deficit financing, subsidies and transfer payments. So today we will discuss meaning of public finance, meaning of fiscal policy and role of fiscal policy. Meaning of public finance. The term public finance is a combination of two words like public and finance. The word public means the government or state. All sorts of governments like central government, state government, local bodies. Under the local bodies, Panchayati Raj, municipal corporation that is Nagar Nigam, municipality like municipal council, municipal board, municipal committee that is Nagar Parishad, and town area committee. Under the town area committee, housing board are there, water supply it is there, sewerages it is there. While finance means monetary resources. Public finance can be said to the science of income and expenditure of the government. According to Professor Dalton, public finance is connected with the income and expenditure of public authorities and with adjustment of one to another. Public finance also deals with the problems of adjustments of income and expenditure. The methods of income and expenditure of government authorities as well as borrowings by the government authorities are known as operations of public finance. They are also known as fiscal operations as they relate to the operations of fisc. Fisc means government treasury. Public finance deals with not only the operations of the government treasury, it also deals with the different policies which the government might adopt in connection when its revenue and expenditure with the objective of the welfare of its citizens. Hence, fiscal operations, fiscal problems and fiscal policies are integral parts of public finance. Fiscal operations and fiscal policies have their impact on national output and income, standard of living of the people, distribution of income and wealth. Every individual of a country is connected with the methods of public finance. In fact, public finance we study how and from what different resources the government gets income, how it spends this income for public welfare and fulfillment its requirements, and how it controls and administers this income and expenditure. The concern of public finance is with the how, what and why of government revenue and expenditure. So public finance stands in somewhat the same relation to the state that economics stand to the individual. So let us discuss some important key terms related to this topic. Public, next is finance, fisc, fiscal policy, public finance, public revenue, public expenditure, revenue expenditure, capital expenditure. Public means government or state. All sorts of governments like central government, state government, local bodies. Under the local bodies, Panchayati Raj, municipal corporation that is Nagar Nigam, municipality like municipal council, municipal board, municipal committee or Nagar Parishad, and town area committee. Under the town area committee, town improvement trust it is there, urban development authorities are there, water supply and sewerages boards are there, housing boards are there, pollution control boards, electricity supply boards, and transport boards are there. Finance. Finance is the management of money, particularly in relation to companies, organizations, or governments. Specifically, it deals with the question of how and why an individual, company, or government acquires the money needed, called capital in the company context, and how they spend or invest that money. Fisc. The meaning of fisc is state treasury or the government treasury. Fiscal policy may be defined as that part of the governmental economic policy which deals with taxation, expenditure, borrowing, and the management of public debt in the economy. Fiscal policy. The economic impact of a government spendings on taxing policies and how these taxing policies are helpful in the economic growth and economic stability. Tools of fiscal policy. Public revenue, public expenditure. Under the public revenue, there is revenue receipts and capital receipts. Revenue receipt further divided into two parts, that is tax and non-tax. Taxes are further divided into two parts, direct tax and indirect tax. While public expenditure, it is divided into two parts, that is revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Public finance. Public finance is the study of the income and expenditure of the state. It deals only with the finances of the government. Scope of public finance consists in the study of the collection of funds and their allocation between various branches of state activities, which are regarded as essential duties or functions of the state, like total state expenditures, that is divided into different parts, that is Medicaid 29%, K-12 that is 19.4%, higher education 10.4%, transportation 8.1%, corrections that is 3%, public assistance that is 1.4%, and all other miscellaneous expenditure that is 28.7%. In this way, the state expenditure it is divided, and the income of the state, that is income from the income tax, that is 26%, property tax that is 31%, general sales that is 24%, selective sales and licenses and others that is 18%. Public revenue. This is one of the branches of public finance. It deals with the various sources from which the state might derive its income. These sources include incomes from taxes, commercial revenue in the form of prices of goods and services supplied by public enterprises, and administrative revenues in the form of fees, fines, penalties, etc., and gifts and grants. Revenue sources of central government, that is from tax revenue, non-tax revenue and capital receipts. From tax revenue there are two ways, that is direct taxes and imposition of indirect taxes. Under the direct taxes there is income tax, corporate tax, wealth tax, gift tax, expenditure tax, interest tax, fringe benefit tax, banking cash transformation tax and security transformation tax. And under the indirect taxes, central excise duties are there, custom duties are there, other taxes and duties are there, taxes of union territories are there, and service tax is there. And under the non-tax revenues, that is public enterprise, interest receipts, administrative revenue, railways, post and telegram, currency and mint, and RBI. Under the capital receipts, internal and external borrowings are there, small savings are there, provident fund is there, loan recovery it is there, and public deposit it is there. Public expenditure. Public expenditure is spendings made by the government of a country on collective needs and wants such as pension, provision, infrastructure, etc. Public expenditure is an important component of aggregate demand. Public expenditure include revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Revenue expenditure. LPG cylinders are made available to domestic consumers at a price which is less than per unit cost of production of a cylinder. In the same way, subsidy it is provided by the government on the petroleum and diesel also. So the difference is borne by the government and is known as subsidy. The expenditure on subsidies is a part of the government expenditure. It does not lead to the creation of any asset. It does not directly create any capital asset for the economy. It does not cause any reduction in the liability of the government. So, revenue expenditure of a government is in the form of consumption expenditure. Capital expenditure. Any money a business spends to upgrade or grow their business, that is, upgrade of fixed assets or the investment in future growth. Capital expenditure examples are, that is, licensing and rights, and expenditure on the computers, expenditure on the machine, expenditure on the purchase of land or the building, expenditure on the purchase of a software, expenditure on the purchase of vehicles, or expenditure done for the trademark. All these expenditures are known as capital expenditures. Capital and revenue receipts. Capital receipts comprise of contribution of capital into the business by the proprietor or the partners or shareholders. Second point is any sum that is received from debenture holders. Next is any loans, sale proceeds of any fixed assets and long-term investments. These are known as capital receipts. Next one is revenue receipts or income. These are the outcome of firm's activity in the accounting period. Money received on sale of goods in trade or on rendering of services. For example, sales, commission and fees received, interest or the dividend on investments. Public debt. Why there is a need for public debt? When there is a war period, in that case government has to divert its expenditure on the purchase of armaments for the forces. Next one is in the depression period, when the low income it is there and lesser demand and employment level it is there. Next one is to curb inflation and unexpected expenses in case of floods, famines, droughts, etc. So development finance. So these are the ways for which there is a need for public debt. Features of public finance. Public finance deals with income and expenditures of the governments. Public finance is a broader subject that lies in between economics and politics. The subject matter of public finance includes the following. First one is public revenue, public expenditure, public debt, budgetary policy, fiscal policy. Public finance is a dynamic subject. Its subject matter goes on changing in accordance with the functions of the state. Public finance is different from private finance, as in private finance the income, expenditure and debt of an individual or a private company are studied, while public finance deals with the income and expenditure and borrowings of the government. Meaning of fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is a policy which is concerned with the effects of public expenditure, taxation and public borrowings on income, output and employment. In other words, it refers to the instrument by which a government tries to regulate the economic affairs of the economy with the view of achieve certain goals. Fiscal policy today has become a major instrument employed by the governments to promote rapid economic growth, to bring economic stability and to reduce inequalities of income and wealth by the way of taxation. Role of fiscal policy. Mobilization of resources. Fiscal policy helps to mobilize resources for financing development programs through revenue from taxes and borrowings. To promote savings, tax incentives may be provided to people. Diversion of resources. Fiscal policy helps in diversion of resources from socially undesirable channels to desirable channels. Government can impose heavy taxes on production of those goods whom it wants to discourage. It may give tax concessions and subsidies to those products whom it wants to encourage, like tax concession on the industries and heavy taxes imposed on the eatables like junk food it is there, and that is not good for health. Next one is reduction in inequalities of income and fiscal wealth. Fiscal policy can play an important role in reducing inequalities of income and wealth. Through taxation policy, heavy taxes can be imposed on the richer section of the society and on luxurious goods like SUV cars, AC, etc. Relatively poor sections of the society can be exempted, like rickshaw pullers are there, beggars are there, hawkers are there, street vendors are there. Similarly, through expenditure policy, more money can be spent to benefit low income group. Price stability. Fiscal policy helps in maintaining price stability. To control inflation, government can impose heavy taxes to discourage household consumption demand. Also, it can introduce cuts in public expenditure. Similarly, it controls deflation. Government can reduce tax rates to encourage household consumption demand. Also, government increase its spending on public works such as construction of roads, flyovers, bridges, buildings like school building, hospital it is there, and public parks are there, street lights are there, public hospitals are there. Next one is balanced regional growth. Fiscal policy helps in promoting development of backward regions. The private sector is given various tax incentives like tax holiday, means payment of zero tax, tax concessions, etc. to set up industries in backward regions of the country. Government aims to achieve balanced development of the country by making investment in setting up industries and providing infrastructural facilities in the backward region. Generation of employment opportunities. Fiscal measures help in expanding employment opportunities in the economy. Public expenditure on labor-intensive public works like construction of roads, flyovers, bridges, school buildings, hospital buildings, etc. help in generating employment opportunities. Like government has given the employment opportunities by renewable energy for rural India, power generation and employment opportunities are there. There are many other works it is started by the government, that is labor intensive in techniques. Instruments of fiscal policy. First one is public revenue. Income tax by the household to the government. Fines, fees, penalties, forfeitures, wealth tax, property tax, corporate tax, all these are the public revenues. Public expenditure like construction of roads, buildings, canals, flyovers, bridges, school buildings, hospitals, government departments are there. All these are the sources of public expenditure. Public debt means loan taken by the government from World Bank, IMF or RBI for the economic growth or the stability of the prices or to improve the standard of living. These are the reasons for the public debt. In case of war conditions also there is a need for public debt. Public revenue. There are many responsibilities of the government like national defense to maintain the law and order, responsibility of promoting social and economic welfare of the people. For all these there is a need of money. A government has to mobilize more and more money in order to finance its functions. So the public revenue is the money mobilized by the government by the way of tax collection, fines, penalties, license fee, printing of new currency, borrowing, escheats, gifts and grants, etc. All these are known as public revenue. The various sources of public revenue. First one is revenue receipts and capital receipts. Revenue receipts are also known as current receipts. These are further divided into two parts, that is tax revenue and non-tax revenue. And the capital receipts are like loans and proceeds from disinvestments of equity of public enterprises. First one is current receipts or revenue receipts. Like government collects revenue by the way of taxes, revenue so raised is not to be returned to the taxpayers. Similarly, government owns many production enterprises like HMT it is there, GAIL it is there, Gas Authority of India Limited, Steel Authority of India Limited, BHEL it is there, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited. So the profit earned by these enterprises form part of income of the government. These are not returned to the public sector undertakings. So current receipts or revenue receipts are those sources of flow of money which do not create any liability of repayment on government. So current receipts of the government has take two forms, tax revenue and non-tax revenue. Tax revenue. Tax is a compulsory contribution which people living in the state make towards public treasury out of their purchasing power without quid pro quo, means no proportionate return to the taxpayer from the public authority, like income tax, sales tax, value added tax, service tax, etc. Every government has the power to impose a number of taxes and every government makes use of this power. So in India, a number of taxes are imposed on goods and services in the form of income tax, wealth tax, excise duty, custom tax, service tax, value added tax, modified value added tax, centralized value added tax, and number of other taxes are there. So the government mobilizes large sum of money by the way of these taxes. These constitute the tax revenue of the government. Revenue mobilized by the government from all sources other than the taxes constitute the non-tax revenue. The major sources of non-tax revenue of the government are profit generated by the government owned enterprises like GAIL, GAIL, Gas Authority India Limited, BHEL, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, HMT, Hindustan Machine Tools. So, income earned by the government from the supply of various general services, social and community services and economic services. Interest receipts of the government on the loans extended by the government and the grants in aid and contributions from foreign countries and international organizations. Major sources of non-tax revenue receipts. Non-tax revenue receipts are commercial revenue, dividends, public sector undertakings, administrative revenue, grants from abroad. Administrative revenues are fees, license fees, fines and penalties. Fines when you break the rules on the roads also, and penalties like when you journey without ticket. Forfeitures are there, as cheats are there, when anybody died without any hair. Commercial revenue, that is non-tax revenue receipts. It is the revenue received by the government in the form of prices paid for the government supplied commodities and services. This include payments for the postage, railways, electricity, tolls, interest on funds borrowed from government, etc. Dividends. These are paid out by public sector enterprises out of the surplus income generated by them, like the profit distributed to the shareholders only. Administrative revenue. It is a revenue that arises on account of the administrative functions of the government, fees, license fees, fines and penalties, as cheats, grants from abroad, capital receipts, etc. Different forms of administrative revenues are as follows. First one is fees. Fees is the amount of money charged by the government for rendering a service to the beneficiary. License fee, registration fee for the motor vehicles, payment for parents to operate, payment for permit to operate automobiles, license fee for keeping a gun are the examples of license fee. So license fee means which are paid in those instances where the government authority is invoked simply to confer a permission or privilege. So service such as is provided by the government. Fines and penalties. Fines and penalties are levied for an infringement, means to break of a law. journey without ticket, to break the traffic rules, etc. Forfeitures. These are in the form of penalties imposed by the courts for non-compliance with orders or non-fulfillment of contract, etc. Escheats. It refers to the claim of the government on the property of a person who dies without having any legal heirs or without leaving a will. Next one is grants from abroad. Defense fund, relief funds are the voluntary contributions made by individuals, private organizations and foreign governments to the government for specific purposes. Different forms of administrative revenues are as follows. Next one is capital receipts. It constitutes those sources of money for the government which involve either of the following two. First one is a liability of repayment is created for the government when government will take loan from the central bank, that is RBI. When a government raises money by a way of loans and borrowings, a liability of repayment of loans arises. An asset owned by the government is to be sold, that is disinvestment, like sale of government buildings or plots, and assets like sale of Air India. For example, when government raises money by a way of disinvestment of equity of government owned enterprises and assets get sold out to the private enterprise. Next one is recoveries of loans. A government extends loans to the households, business units and also to other countries. These loans constitute assets to the government. When these loans are paid back to the government, it gets its money back. Government's receipts increase but its assets fall because government extends loans on the mortgage, and when loan paid back to the government has to return the mortgage assets. Hence, these are known as capital receipts. Loans and borrowings. A government can borrow from different sources: World Bank, IMF. Way of loans. A government gets money, but every loan is to be paid back by government. Till the loan is paid back, the government carries the liability of repayment. Disinvestment. The government owns a number of industrial and business units like BSNL, Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, HMT Hindustan Machine Tools, Guru Nanak Dev Hospital, government schools, ESI, that is Employees State Insurance Hospital. These are the assets of the government. Sale of Air India is the example of disinvestment. The government may sell a unit or more units in parts or the whole unit to private or capital and enterprises. This sale is known as disinvestment. By this method, money flows to the government, but in process the assets of the government get reduced. Tax. Let us understand the meaning of tax with the help of an example. Suppose Mr. B is earning rupees 3 lakhs per annum and he has to pay 10% tax on his income according to the tax norms. So he will pay 30,000 to the central government. So a tax is a compulsory condition levied on the wealth of an individual by the government of a country. without reference to any benefit. A rich person cannot claim that he would not pay taxes to support the government schools because he has no children. Characteristics of tax. A tax is a compulsory payment. Second is, all those who are asked to pay tax have to make the payment to the government directly. Otherwise, they are liable to punishment. The rate of tax is decided by the government. Taxpayers cannot bargain with the government. Tax must be paid whether the individual derives any special benefit or not. A tax is paid for the general or common benefits extended by the government to all the taxpayers. No individual can claim any special service for himself in exchange for the tax paid to the government. Direct tax. Suppose your father earns rupees 5 lakh a year. He is liable to pay income tax. This tax is to be paid out of his income. The tax burden cannot be shifted to any other person, not even to the employer. Similarly, if a company earns profit during a year, it is liable to pay corporation tax out of its income. The company cannot shift this tax to anyone else. It is a tax which is paid out of the income or wealth of the same person on whom the tax has been imposed. We can say that the impact and incidence of the tax are on the same person. By impact, we mean the responsibility to pay the tax. By incidence, we mean burden of the tax. Indirect tax. Government levies excise duties on production of Pepsi, Cola and on the textile and shoemaking industries. So the company easily includes that amount of tax in the price of their product and charges the same from buyers. It is a tax whose burden can be shifted to another person. So the person who is made responsible to pay the tax is expected to charge the amount of tax from other person. Technically, we can say that the impact and incidence of a direct tax fall on the different persons. Impact of tax. Suppose an excise duty of 25% is levied by the government on the production of sugar. This will be paid by the manufacturer. Hence, its impact falls on him because he is directly and legally responsible for its payment to the government. So, the impact of tax is upon the person who pays it in the first instance. The person who pays the tax to the government in the first instance bears its impact. Shifting of tax. With the imposition of 25% excise duty on the production of sugar, the manufacturer may increase the price of that product by 25% and shift the tax burden on to the consumer by increasing the price of its product. This is called shifting of a tax. Incidence of tax. Incidence of a tax refers to the money burden of a tax on the person who ultimately pays it. In the above example, producer of sugar has shifted the money burden of the tax to the consumer. He has recovered the amount of tax from the consumer by charging higher prices from the consumer, since it is the consumer who has ultimately borne the money burden of the tax. Its incidence therefore is on the consumer. Incidence thus lies upon that person who cannot shift its burden to any other person. So, incidence of tax means a person who ultimately bears the burden of tax. Equity. Advantages of direct tax. First point is equity. Direct taxes are based on the principle of equity to pay. Burden of taxation is distributed on different people and institutions in a just or equitable manner. The tax rate can be easily progressively raised as the level of income go up. Second advantage of the direct tax is certainty. Direct taxes satisfy the principle of certainty. The taxpayer knows well in advance, in certain terms, as to how much he is expected to pay. Similarly, the government can estimate the revenue from direct taxes fairly, accurately, and adjust its income and expenditure accordingly. Next advantage of the direct tax is elasticity. Direct taxes are elastic. With an increase in the income and wealth of the people, the revenue from the direct taxes also increase. Similarly, a government can raise more revenue simply by raising the tax rate. Civic consciousness. Direct taxes are paid out of the income and wealth of the taxpayers. The taxpayers are always aware of the fact that a part of their income has been transferred to the government. They begin to show more interest in the affairs of the government. Next one is direct tax. It is progressive. That is the next advantage of the direct tax, that is imposed according to the ability of the taxpayers. Next one is social objective. Tax collected from the rich person may be spent for the benefit of the poor persons, like by giving them some boxes of shoe polish so that they can start their self-employment. Next one is disadvantages of direct taxes. Arbitrary. Direct taxes tend to be arbitrary. It is difficult to have an objectively just basis of ability, that which person can pay the tax and which person cannot. These rates are often dictated by political compulsions of the government. We can't judge the accurate collection or accurate amount of collection of taxes. Next one is tax evasion. Direct taxes are taxes on honesty. They tempt people to evade them by hiding their income and wealth. This results in a black money. Inconvenient. Taxpayers have to keep all the accounts and records of their financial transactions. They have to file returns of their income. These returns are scrutinized, that is examined by the tax authorities. All these involve inconvenience and expenses besides time and energy also. Disadvantages of direct taxes. Next point is high cost of collection. Direct taxes are often regarded as expensive to collect. Next one is elaborate machinery has to be designed to contact and assess taxpayers and also to prevent tax evasion. Next one is poorly maintained accounts. Very few people maintain accounts of income and expenditure. Next one is provide limited coverage. It covers very small proportion of the population. Next disadvantage, discourage work. People who work more to earn more have to pay more tax, thus discourage more work. Advantages of indirect taxes. First one is convenience. Indirect taxes are convenient to pay and collect. Tax amount gets included in the price of the commodity. The taxpayer may even fail to notice it. The government finds it convenient to collect indirect taxes as they are paid in lump sum by the producer. Difficult to evade. Indirect taxes are included in the price of the commodity. Evasion of an indirect tax will mean giving up the satisfaction of a given want. Elasticity. As the consumption level increases, tax revenue mobilized by the way of indirect taxes also increases. Advantages of indirect taxes. Next one is ability. Indirect taxes can serve the principle of ability, means high rates of taxes may be imposed on those goods and services which are generally consumed by high income groups. Goods and services consumed by low income groups may be charged at lower rates. Social benefits. Indirect taxes enable everyone, even the poorest citizen, to contribute something towards the expenses of the state. Provide wide coverage. These taxes are paid by the majority of the people. It is a good source of revenue for the government. Disadvantages of indirect taxes. Unjust and inequitable, that is regressive. They fall alike on all the persons, irrespective of their ability to pay. Rich and poor are taxed equally. Next one is uncertain. Neither the taxpayer nor the government is sure about the amount of tax involved. Next disadvantage of indirect tax is lack of social consciousness. Taxpayer fails to feel the pinch of tax immediately. These taxes fail to evoke social consciousness among the taxpayers. Next one is indirect taxes discourage savings. These taxes are included in the prices and people can save less. Uneconomical. Government has to incur huge expenditure on the collection of these taxes, so they are highly economical. Next one is inflationary. Indirect taxes are added to the prices of the product and leads to the unending spiral of higher prices, high costs, higher wages, and again higher prices. Comparative evaluation. Both direct and indirect taxes are not substitutes for each other. They are complementary to each other. Objectives of the taxation are common to both types of taxes. These are to raise the resources of revenue for the government, raise the rate of investment in the country through the curtailment of consumption, to raise the incremental saving ratio. Next one is comparative evaluation between indirect taxes and direct taxes. Indirect taxes reach all the sections of the society, whether rich or poor. Direct taxes cannot reach all the sections of the society. Indirect taxes are generally proportional. Direct taxes can highly progressive. Indirect taxes can be easily used to influence the consumption of specific commodities. Direct taxes can be easily used to influence the consumption of specific commodities. Objective of taxation. First one is raising the revenue. Revenue is required to meet the functions of welfare of the public, like maintenance of roads, railways, public parks, public libraries, street lights, government schools, government hospitals, etc. Next one is the objective of taxation is to regulation of the consumption and production. Taxes are sometimes used to discourage the consumption and production of harmful goods like liquor and tobacco, etc. by imposing high tax rates on such goods. Next objective of taxation is encouraging of domestic industries. Taxes like custom duties are imposed to stop the import of goods which are domestically available and thereby increase the production of domestic industries. Next objective of the taxation is raising investment. Taxes can also be used for the subsidy, for investment, investment allowances, lower taxes on profit in the private sectors. Next objective of the taxation is reducing income inequalities. Charge higher taxes from rich class and used for the welfare motive by the government, like giving the health facilities by opening the hospitals like ESI, government hospital in Amritsar like Guru Nanak Dev Hospital. So raising economic growth is the next objective of the taxation. Revenue collected by the government can be used in promoting development in the agriculture sector, like provision of irrigation facility, provision of electricity at the subsidized rates, water supply, and in the industrial sector, development of the industrial sector by giving them the raw material at a subsidized rates. Development of backward regions is the next objective of taxation. Taxes are used to set up industries in the backward regions by giving them special tax concession like lower taxes or tax holiday. Tax holiday means no payment of tax. Next one is ensuring price stability. Taxes reduce the disposable income of the individuals and so reduce the purchasing power also and fall in the aggregate demand in the economy and helpful in controlling the demand pull inflation. Different taxes are imposed by the government because the government has to pursue different objectives. For example, at a time the government need to encourage production and consumption of some commodities. Redistribution of income among different sections of society may be another objective of taxation. In pursuance of these objectives, government imposes taxes at different rates on different commodities and different groups of persons. For example, a person who earns rupees 1.50 lakh per annum pays income tax at the rate of 20% of his taxable income. On the other hand, a person who earns rupees 2 lakh per annum pays income tax at the rate of 30% of his taxable income. On the basis of taxation, on the basis of the rate of taxation, the different taxes can be classified in the following categories. First one is progressive taxation, proportional taxation, regressive taxation and degressive taxation. First one is progressive taxation. Suppose the tax rates at different slabs of income are as follows. From the table you can see that amount of income, that is till 1 lakh the rate of tax is 10%, means person has to deposit per annum 10,000 to the central government. Next one is till 2 lakh income the rate of taxation is 20%, and till 3 lakh there is 30% off. So under the progressive taxation system, the rate of tax increases as tax base increases. That is, persons with higher income or wealth not only pay more tax, they pay tax at a higher rate. You can see from here, with the increase in the income level, rate of tax also increases. Proportional taxation. In proportional taxation, the rate of tax remains the same at different tax bases. In this, all taxpayers pay an equal proportion of income in the form of taxes. In the table, the rate of tax is 5% at each level of tax-based income. The rate of tax which each taxpayer has to pay is 5%. The taxability of each individual increases in the same proportion. Like from here you can see that amount of tax with 10,000 income at rate 5%, amount of tax that is 500. At 1500 amount of tax is 750. At 20,000 income with 5% rate of interest, that is 1000. Next one is regressive taxation. In this, the rate of tax falls as the tax base increases. In this table, the amount of tax to be paid to the central government increases with the increase in the level of income, but the rate of tax, it is falling. Like at 10,000 level of income, rate of tax it is 10% and the amount paid to the government it is 1000. At 20,000 level of income, rate of tax it is 8% and person has to pay 1600 to the central government. In this way you can see that at 30,000 level of income per annum, the rate of tax is 7% and person has to pay 2100 rupees to the central government. So this is the regressive taxation, that with the increase in the level of income, tax rate will fall. Degressive taxation. In this, tax increases with an increase in tax base, but the rate of increase of tax diminishes with every increase in the tax base. From this table, it is clear that with an increase in the tax base, rate of tax increases, that at 100 level of income, rate of tax it is 5%, at 200 that is 10% rate of tax is there, at 300 level of income, rate of tax it is 14%. So in this way you can see that with the increase in the level of income, rate of tax it is increases, but the rate of increase in the tax rate, that is decreasing continuously. Firstly 0%, then 5% increase it is there, then 4% increase it is there, then 3% increase it is there. So in this way rate of increase in tax rate it is falls continuously. This is known as degressive taxation. Merits of progressive tax system. Diminishing utility of income. As income levels rise, every additional rupee yields lower utility. Thus, every rupee taken away as tax causes only smaller sacrifices. Equity demands that persons with higher income pay tax at a higher rate. Greater revenue. Progressive taxation yields much greater revenue and it is more productive. Next one is economy. Progressive taxation is more economical. The cost of collection of the taxes does not increase when the rate increases. Flexibility. The principle of progression gives to the tax system much needed elasticity or flexibility. Demerits of progressive tax system. First one is arbitrary. No surety on the amount of tax collection. The degree of progression is needed on no definite and scientific basis. At times, political compulsions dictate it. They will not sure that whether the persons sometimes can be paid the fixed amount of tax or not. So in this way there is no surety on the amount of tax collection, that is how much amount it will be collected. Anti-growth. Progression will discourage saving, drive out capital and thus hamper trade and industry. Fails to promote welfare. Welfare is subjective and cannot be measured. No scientific basis. The fundamental assumptions that the same income measures the same satisfaction is not at all valid. Arguments for proportional taxation. Proportional taxation leaves the relative status of taxpayer unchanged. Suppose a 5% income tax is imposed on all net incomes. Then a person with income of ₹100 will pay ₹5 as tax, and income after deduction it will be ₹95, and income of ₹1000 will pay ₹50 as tax, and the income after deduction it will be ₹950. In the same way, income of ₹10,000 will pay ₹500 as tax, and income after deduction it will become ₹9,500, and the income of ₹1 lakh will pay ₹5,000 as tax, and income after deduction will be ₹95,000. So this is the proportional taxation that leaves the relative status of the taxpayer unchanged. Arguments for proportional taxation. Before the tax, the relative status of the 4 persons was difference of 10 times. After the tax has been imposed and the amount collected, the relative status of the individual is same. It is simple and uniformly applicable. It avoids the complicated rate structure of progressive taxes. It overcomes the difficulties of determining how tax rate should be graduated. It will avoid mistakes and pitfalls of progressive taxation. Proportional taxation does not have adverse effect on production and distribution. However, it is argued against the proportional taxation that the tax on the lower income is relatively more heavy than the tax on the higher income. Students, hope you all have understood the topic of fiscal policy, its meaning, taxation and its types and objectives of taxation, and different types of taxes on the basis of tax rates. So now it's time to note down the homework. Question number 1 is define the following terms with examples: public, finance, fisc, fiscal policy, public finance, public revenue, public expenditure, revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Second question is explain the role of fiscal policy. Third is define tax and its types with examples. Question number 4 is write the objectives of taxation, and please go through the links on the YouTube also for more clarity, and hope you all will complete your notes in your fair copies for better learning. Thank you students for listening.